After a brief hiatus away supporting Ellie's marathon and doing gravel races, it's been a while since I've raced a Friday night hill climb, but finally I am back in Mac on a Friday night and it is time to get hill climb racing again. And yes, despite last time electing not to go with my hill climb machine, we're cracking out this sub 5 kilo bike ready for tonight's course because it is pretty much the perfect course for an ultralight hill climb bike. Tonight's race is up Smith Lane, which is such a short course. It is around 800 meters in length and will only take around 2 minutes. No pressure, but tonight I am coming in as defending champion from last year with a time of 2 minutes and 1 second. Who knows, after all my craziness up Hard Knock Pass last week, whether I've got that in my legs. And again, as always, there's going to be some really tough competition tonight, so I'm going to have to give it everything if I want a chance at the win. At least with it being such a short climb, chopping through all the footage to do the edit is going to be nice and easy. And the bike tonight is unchanged from the last time I raced it up Teg's Nose. We've got the 11 to 28 ZTTO cassette at the rear, which I still haven't managed to kill impressively. I've got a 34 tooth chainring up front on these Rero cranks, which I'm not a massive fan of due to their aluminium axles, but my other cranks are tied up on another project, so these have to do for now. And of course, I'm running the only really good AliExpress rim brake wheel set I can find, these Elite Wheels Edge that are super, super light. I think about 1250 grams, which for rim brake wheels is pretty good. And yeah, with time ticking on, it's about time for me to get kitted up and ready to race. Just a couple of minutes till we're starting now. Yeah, I'm not feeling great. I think I must be coming down with something, but I'm going to give it my all on the road and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, this is going to hurt.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go, go, go. And here we go then. This is always such a brutally intense start to a race. You can see I am straight away out the saddle, absolutely spiking that power up above 800 watts at the peak, but trying to stay up in that sort of mid to high 600s region for as long as this first minute as I possibly can. This is by far the steepest part of the course, so it's where the power output really matters. There is a chance I've gone out a little bit too hot here, but to be honest with you, I just need to go full gas for as long as possible. And at this point in the race, I am feeling pretty good. My legs are responding to the effort, and as I'm approaching the farm up on the right, I know that is the point where the gradient starts to taper off. We've still got a little bit longer of the effort left to go before I can really back off, but as long as my power's still up in the 600s, which it comfortably is, I know I'm going for a really good time here. And this is the point where my power does start to drop a bit. As you can see, I'm down into the 500s now, but I can see the brow of the hill at the top of the road on the horizon coming into view, and this is where I sit down and try and just maintain that power for as long as possible. I'm really suffering here and my power is reflecting that down into the 400s, but I do manage a couple of little kicks out the saddle to try and keep things moving. It is almost flat here though, so doing crazy high power isn't of utmost importance, and as you can see the road surface is pretty dire, so I'm constantly having to dodge potholes. And this is where the road starts to descend down very briefly before that final kicker you can see approaching up to the finish line. So here, I am just all out trying to recover as much as possible, so as soon as we hit this ramp, I can get out the saddle and smash as many watts as my leg can possibly manage. Let's get it back up into 500, which I just about managed to do, and I managed to hold around 500 watts all the way to the line up here. With everyone cheering me on, I am really going blurry now. Throwing my bike across the line and then getting my breath back to go find the result. That was so slow. I'm 10 seconds slower than last year.
Yeah, but you know.
Well, about 10 seconds slower than last year somehow, despite doing exactly the same power, so yeah. Oh, my chest is a bit of a mess up there as well. I think you probably had to hear on the footage how much I was wheezing. But yeah, I think something's dragging on my bike. I can't figure out what it was. It felt like a weird dragging sensation from the back wheel, like shh, as if my tyre was rubbing or my brakes were catching, but there's no way. I don't know, there's so much clearance on them, so I don't really know what it was. And it was something I only noticed when I was doing really big walks, but yeah. Apparently, I have it by a second, but we'll have to wait for the results to see properly. And the results, well, they are in. I managed a time of 2 minutes and 12 seconds, which, as you may notice, is 11 seconds down on last year's time. But despite this, I managed to actually set my highest ever 1 and 2 minute power during the race. We'll get onto my unorthodox pacing in a minute, but yes, it was good enough to steal the win by just 1 mere second. However, given my pacing we're about to discuss, crossing the line, I definitely did not feel like I deserved that win. So onto my pacing then. Well, this might be the worst and also kind of accidentally the best I've ever paced a hill climb. You see, Smith Lane starts extremely steep off the line, but after about 400 metres, it really tapers off. And there is a flat and even slightly downhill section that you will have seen before that final little kicker to the line. In order to ride this climb well, you obviously have to put out the most watts on that initial steep ramp, getting yourself up to speed and trying to hold it over the crest into the flat section. And boy, did I put out a lot of watts at the start. My first minute, I averaged 650 watts, which is by far my best ever 1 minute power. I think I've just cracked my record by at least 50 watts that I set at this race last year. But the problem is, then you are absolutely dying only 1 minute into a 2 minute race. And as you crest that summit, you've somehow got to find the energy to keep the pace going into the flat and downhill sections, which, well, as you saw during the race, you could hear my wheezing going on then. I was suffering. My power was dropping down below 400 watts in places, which for such a short race, yeah, not great. However, I did know that on them flat and downhill sections, your power output doesn't matter all that much. What really makes a difference then is being able to send it up that last little ramp, which I did manage to do a respectable job of, getting my power back up above 500 watts for them last sort of 20 seconds or so. Altogether then, putting the whole race in one file, this meant my average power was 512 watts. So despite completely blowing up around 80 seconds into this 130 second effort, yeah, somehow I turned it around, and actually, I think this is the go-to strategy. On why I was so much slower than last year though, I'm not entirely sure. I know I'm running a couple of kilos heavier, which could explain it, but also I think the conditions were nowhere near as optimal. From memory, I think there was a decent tailwind last year, and whilst not a full-on headwind this time, there definitely was a pretty unfavourable wind. Jack Morris, who came second last night, despite being on clearly very good form from some of his results earlier in the year, also was quite a long way down on his PB. So I think it must have been a slow night. And the bike, as I said, I'm not quite sure what was going wrong with it. I just had this weird draggy rubbing feeling. Now that might be just I wasn't feeling great and I was getting in my head and creating these things, but something definitely was making a funny noise at the rear. Whether it was just there was so much flex in my wheel from that power output that it was rubbing my chainstays, I'm not sure, but I need to investigate that before I'm racing next. So whilst today's video hasn't been the longest, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I am honestly over the moon to finally get another win on the board. I was getting a little bit defeated this year, as I've only clocked a 4th and 3rd place so far, a long way off the 2 wins I'd already had by this time last year. But what I was saying about not feeling very well, yeah, I've woken up with a pretty rough throat this morning. I'm no doctor, but I'm pretty certain a 2-minute VO2 max effort is not the best way to prep your body to fight off an oncoming cold. So I will leave you all there with that one. I hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button, get yourself subscribed if you're not already, because there is plenty of exciting content to come as I ramp up to my A goal of the year, the Adapter Tour. So until then, I'll see you all in the next one.